Hello, and welcome to Spicy Toast Gaming. Thank you for tuning in to another Spicy Toast video. Today we'll be taking a look at Nautilus and seeing what he'd be like if he was added to Path of Champions as a playable champion. So this will be a fun theory crafting video. We'll go over some star powers as well as a deck that we think would work well for Nautilus. If you like this type of video, definitely like and subscribe, and let's get into it. So first, let's start off with some requirements for the deck. So we looked at many different decks in Path of Champions and found a consistent framework that they all stuck to. So first we have 2 copies of 9 unique cards, so 18 cards total. And then of those cards, it's generally 2 to 3 spell cards. And of all those 18 cards, most of them cost 4 or less. Now, any cards above that is normally just the champion, and any of the other spells that start out higher than that are often reduced down to that 4 or less cost. But this is kind of the general framework for how the decks are handled. With this in mind, let's go take a look at the deck that we made for Nautilus. In game now, taking a look at the deck we constructed for Nautilus, but first let's take a look at Nautilus himself. So Nautilus is a 7 cost, fearsome tough, starts out as a 0-12. So his level condition is when you are deep, I level up, and when he levels up, copy tossed allies that cost 4 or more into your deck. So deep, that's going to be the key word that this deck is really built around, and that is if your unit is deep, they have 3/3 once your deck has 15 or fewer cards left. Now, you just have to trigger this effect. If you get back over that 15 amount, you don't then go like undeep. You still keep that same buff, but you just have to hit that 15 card or less threshold. So when you hit that, he levels up. Then he copies tossed allies that cost 4 or more into your deck. Now, toss is another keyword that's going to be important for this deck. It's obliterating cards from the bottom of your deck. So it's non-champion cards, but just any card you had in your deck at the bottom, it's getting obliterated. So that card is just getting removed from your deck. So normally, you're never going to be able to get those cards back. But for Nautilus, he's able to copy your more expensive ones, the ones that cost 4 or more, and put them back into your deck. Now, when he levels up, he completes that effect, but now he goes to a 13/13, and sea monster allies have 4 or less. So you have a lot of big, scary sea monsters in your deck, and now you're able to play these big cards that are now more powerful because of deep for much cheaper. His spell, 4 cost slow, stun an enemy, place that unit into the enemy deck if you have a Nautilus. So if you have a Nautilus on your board, then this goes from a stun to essentially a recall, except it's recalling to the deck, not to the hand. So nice removal. So for this deck, it's going to be a lot of sea monsters. All of these sea monsters have deep. So in addition to any other effects, once you're deep, they're going to be getting that 3/3. Alright, so first we have Dredgers. Good 1-drop when I'm summoned, toss 3, helping you get deep quickly. Sea Scarab, when another ally dies, or Last Breath, so when it dies, you toss 1. I will say this is a Shadow Isles card. Mostly the decks are from one region, but it should be a Bilgewater card in my opinion. Like if you look here, this is Bilgewater. It's background image. So for some reason it is Shadow Isles, but it works very well in this deck. It's a sea monster, it's deep, and it has toss. Anyways, just a note that they might not want to have this card in, but I think it works well for the deck. Next, for 3-drop, we have Jawl Hunters, probably saying that wrong. It's Challenger. When I'm summoned, create a random sea monster in hand. Hopefully through champion level ups, you'd get something like a quick attack on this. For 4 cost, we have Salvage, toss 2, draw 2. So very nice, some built-in draw, as well as some toss. So we have 4 for our 4-drop, a sea monster, the beast below, so it's a 4/4. which will then go up to a 7/7 once you hit deep. Abyssal Eye, 5 cost. Elusive Deep, Nexus Strike, draw 1. And our 6-drop, Devourer of the Depths, play Obliterate an enemy with less health than me, again a sea monster. We have Nautilus for 7, and then we also have Scrap Shot. So 7 cost, fast spell, toss 3, deal 7 to a unit. So very strong removal options. Now, as you probably notice, a lot of these units cost a lot more than the 4 mana. So this is going to be something that is important to the deck, because Nautilus, the sea monsters, they do cost a good amount. But bear that in mind when we go look at the star powers. Taking a look at the Nautilus star powers now. So first we have Salvage, +1 starting mana. When you draw a card, toss 1 until you are deep. So throughout the game, at least once at the start of the round, you're going to be drawing a card, and then you'll be tossing as well. And this will just keep happening every time you draw a card until you hit deep. Once you hit deep, it'll stop doing this. That way you're not running out of cards. But this way you have some synergy with extra draw, so you can try to focus on that, because outside of like Vi, we don't really have too many champions that have special effects based on drawing more cards. So this could be a nice way to add some unique synergies in, giving Nautilus some more reason to try to draw more cards, which also is helping reduce the cards from your deck anyways, and bringing you closer to being deep. For the 3-star, we have From the Depths, rank 2, round start, toss 2. When you toss a sea monster, create a fleeting copy of it in hand. It costs 2 less. So this way, with the Salvage, you're going to be tossing at least 3 times at the start of a round. And now every time you're tossing a sea monster, you get to create a fleeting copy of it in hand, and it costs 2 less. So most of those sea monsters cost 4, 5, 6 mana. So fairly expensive. But with this star power, you'd actually be able to play those earlier in the game before you have a Nautilus on the board. So it would be a fleeting copy of it. That way you do have to try to play it that round. And then you don't also have your hand just filling up with cards you can't play. So I think this would be a fun way to cheat out cards early and can still play them. You can work around having more expensive units in your hand without them all having to get reduced down through champion level ups with like ancient coins. So I think this would be a fun mechanic. You'd be trying to build around drawing as many times as possible. That way you're tossing more cards. When you're tossing those sea monsters, you're actually able to then play them. That way you're not feeling bad about seeing a sea monster get tossed and obliterated in front of you. And you don't have to have all of your power rely on dropping Nautilus on the board and getting all of your sea monsters put back in your hand. Now for the Salvage, this one, I think it would be good for it to stop once you are deep, so you're not continuing to toss. And that way, even if you're drawing cards, you're not milling yourself. From the Depths, though, this would continue every round, so you do have somewhat of a time limit on, but with that benefit of getting those cheaper sea monsters, it still wouldn't feel too bad. I think for the 1-star version of this, you can either have the values, so say toss 1, and then it costs 1 less, the fleeting copy, or the second portion of this you just add until you hit that 3 stars. So toss 2 for round start, and then if you hit 3 stars, it's when you toss a sea monster, create that fleeting copy that costs 2 less. So this would be my take on a Nautilus deck. I think it would be very fun to play and play very differently than most other decks in the game. It would be a ramp deck, but you would be able to have a lot of fun with cheating out these large units early. Then you have this big payoff once you hit deep, and you put Nautilus on the board. I think you'd be having some interesting synergies with the toss, as well as the drawing card. So you're trying to get some extra draw throughout the whole game. You can potentially use that Gravedigger Spade, I believe it's called, the relic that I've never seen anyone use. The draw one and give it fleeting. That would work well for Nautilus, actually. So this is my take on Nautilus. Definitely let me know down below what you think of the deck, of the star powers. I think it'd be very interesting and fun to play, but that's just my opinion. Want to hear yours down below. Hope you liked the video, and I hope you have a great day. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching that video all the way to the end. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe. We're putting out multiple videos every single day for Path of Champions content. So if that interests you, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and welcome to the channel. Have a great day.